On May 20th, 1968, my father, Ed McCaskey, addressed a crowd at St. Joseph's Preparatory College. Here is the end of my father's speech. One of the all-time great athletes at Notre Dame was Johnny Lattner, who operates a wonderful restaurant on Madison Street in Chicago, opposite St. Peter's Church. John was an All-American halfback at Notre Dame and winner of the Heisman Trophy. One Saturday in his junior year, Johnny had trouble holding on to the ball and fumbled 3 times. In the second half, he scored 2 touchdowns and won the game for the Irish. The following Monday, Coach Leahy assembled the squad for an instruction session and then ordered everybody on the field except, and I quote, Mr. Lattner. When they were alone, Coach Leahy said, "John, do you want to get a college education?" "Oh, yes, Coach." "John, do you want to graduate from Notre Dame?" "Oh, yes, Coach." "John, do you want to play football for Notre Dame?" "With all my heart, Coach." "John, there are numerous chapels on this campus. Immediately start with the first chapel and go to every one of them until you find a priest. And when you find one, ask him to hear your confession. And don't come back to practice until you confess those 3 mortal sins you committed last Saturday." Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Lattner.
There was a couple of mistakes he made in a talk introducing me. I fumbled 5 times. And I don't know how the hell I ever became a Heisman winner. I guess fortunately it never got out, but it was very exciting. That game was against Purdue in 1952. I was a junior, and we took the Monon train from Michigan City up to Lafayette, got off the train, dressed, played the game, got back on the train. Well, I didn't get back on the train to go back to South Bend with Leahy on the train because I think he was going to throw me off. I was kind of lucky in a lot of respects, but I think of how fortunate I was coming from a family of my brother, my sister, my mother, and my dad. My mother and my dad were 2 wonderful, wonderful people. And they kept me going. And even though I kind of was a little baby and a little sissy around, I lived in an apartment building on the west side. And in that apartment building, they had 105 flats. And there must have been 40 kids my age that lived in that apartment building. And I think during my early years growing up, every week I would get beat up by at least 10 times. And go up, and my dad, who worked nights at a printing company, would put gloves on me, and we'd box, and I could hit him really hard. But I'd get down there, and those kids would scare me. But after about a couple of years, I decided to hit back. And most of the guys I hit back were about 4 or 5 years older than me, and I wouldn't take any more of their guffs. And that helped me a lot when I went to Fenwick. I was fortunate to be coached by a great coach, Tony Lawless. He taught me fundamentals. In fact, my first 2 years at Fenwick on the varsity, I played an end. I was my sophomore year I played an end, and my junior year I played an end. And it was good for me because it taught me fundamentals. And I think fundamentals is the name of any game. Fundamentals is about any religion. And if you do it sincerely about what you're going to about and do, the sincerities will pay off 101%. And that's my really great story. I was fortunate. I survived the 5 fumbles. And I like to tell you a little story how that Monday went when I went. Leahy, we were in the law auditorium, and we had to go back for right after lunch, and he gave a pep talk. And I'll try to imitate what he was saying. "Oh, lads, last Saturday against the enemy, we had a young lad who committed 5 mortal sins by his 5 fumbles against the enemy. He disgraced his mommy and daddy, and he disgraced the coaching staff here at Notre Dame by his 5 fumbles. And I'm just wondering, what is his problem?" Well, I was right in the front row, and he got the meeting over, and I took off, and I got to the back door of the law auditorium, and he called me back. And he said, "Oh, John, what in the world, a boy of your caliber, why would you fumble 5 times? Were you scared of the enemy?" I said, "No, Coach, I don't know really why I fumbled 5 times." He says, "Do you have any type of girl problem back in Chicago that would cause you to fumble 5 times?" I said, "No, Coach, I don't have any girl problem." He said, "I understand when you were a young lad, did you go to the racetrack, Sportsman's, or Hawthorne racetrack with your dad?" I said, "Yeah, he would take me from time to time." "Did you ever bet on any of those horses?" I said, "Yeah, Coach, I worked I delivered papers in the morning. Yeah, I had a couple of dollars." He says, "Did you have any money bet with the bookies back on the west side of Chicago?" Well, that's Leahy for you. He just wanted to find what was my problem. And he said, and I was wondering, you don't have any type of boy problems, I hope, back there. And I hope you don't have any type of girl problems you have back there. With that, he let me go. He said, "I want you to report to Mr. Early, the halfback coach, and I want you to go through some drills with him." And Early had me out there in the Cartier field, and he strung a rope under the goalpost, about 4 feet high, maybe 3.5, I don't know. And he would hand the ball off to me, and I would dip under that rope. I must have did it about 200 times. Finally, I didn't dip low enough, and I hit the rope with my nose, and I broke the rope. He said, "I guess you learned your lesson." I said, "Yes, but look at my nose." Anyways, Notre Dame was like that. I mean, you weren't always the hero. You always had to be subject to criticisms, and that's now. I bet it made you a better person. You say, I'll prove a point that I could do better than I can, and that's what life is about. Prayers. One of the things that happened to me when I was in high school, and I still think it was a miracle. Before we played the championship game, I hurt my knee in the last scheduled game, and my left knee, and it went out on me, and Dan O'Brien, our trainer, put it back in on me, and that whole week before, it kept going out on me, and we won the Catholic League, and we were going to play in the prep bowl. And we had a line coach, Larry Flynn, who was a great guy. He said, "Hey, Jen, the knee keeps popping out. Why did you take a novena to St. Thomas Aquinas for 5 days? I got a book here." You know what I did? 5 days. I played in the varsity game, the championship game. We didn't win, but I didn't. We had 63,000 people watching. I always got nervous with big crowds, but I do recall that knee never bothered me. In 4 years of college football, 1 year of pro ball, and the knee I did hurt was in the service was my right knee, and that's why I gave up football. But I was very fortunate. I loved to play the game. I made a lot of friends. I lived in Chicago most of my life, except for 2 years in Denver where I coached, and they didn't fire me as a coach. They just gave up football, so I got out of coaching. And I have 8 wonderful children, 25 wonderful grandkids, and I got kids at football players in Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Augustana, DePaul, and it's wonderful. I get a chance to watch them on television because I can tune into that. You can do it through your computer, so I can watch them every Saturday play football. It's been nice. I don't know how I became a Heisman Award winner, but I had a lot of luck on my side. And I will say one thing: I wasn't too Catholic. My junior year at Walsh Hall, I used to take mass check, and a mass check was you checked in a boy. He had to have 3 masses a week. Well, some of my good, intelligent friends didn't go 3 times a week, but I checked them in, and I got good grades. Maybe it was a sin, I don't know, but at least I got through Notre Dame. Thanks a lot, folks. It's great to be here.